This is the Stewardship Committee, and we're here today to kind of tell you a little bit about what we do. Basically, first of all, let me introduce the members of Stewardship. There's Cheryl Ray, John Oskin, Jack Battenhouse, and we have Rev Rock with us, and also Joan Bennett at times. There's 4 major functions for stewardship. Review the monthly financial reports, prepare an annual pledge campaign, do a personnel performance review, and review our expenses. So from the review expenses, we get about 6 different reports every month that are prepared by Joan Bennett, and we go over these reports. Most of them are informational reports of where we stand financially, but probably the most important one that we go over is the income and expense statement. This tells us by each of the other ministries how much is spent, what was budgeted, and where we stand overall. We also review the paychecks for the staffs here at the church, and there's a number of other reports that are incidental or minor. So those are the major functions of stewardship, and to tell you a little bit more, I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl Ray, who will talk about the annual pledge campaign.
Our pledge campaign this year is called Responding to God's Grace, and it's a homegrown campaign that we put together ourselves. It's not like the Pony Express or Consecration Sunday where you're told pretty much what to do. But you will hear about us responding to God's grace through sermons, short videos, letters from the pastor, trifold, and a special hymn. On October 3rd, the choir will sing that hymn as the offertory hymn so that you get an idea of what that will sound like. Our time and talent won't be out until later in the year, but don't worry, because before the end of the year, we'll be talking to you about how you can use your time, talent, and your treasures. And I'll turn it over to John so he can tell us a little bit more about personnel and budget.
Stewardship also acts as the personnel committee. We either meet directly with all the staff here at the church, or the committee leaders meet with different staff members, talk about how things have gone through the year, problems they've run into, how could we help, or how can we communicate with other staff members to maybe run the church a little bit more efficient in the future. As part of that, we also work on the budgets. Including the budgets are obviously the salaries. So for salaries, we look at things like what's the annual increase in Social Security, what's the average rate out there in the market, although the church obviously is a nonprofit organization and we don't try to keep up with the outside world. We couldn't afford to, quite frankly. So appreciate all the staff and all the things they do for us. And again, as part of that budget number, we also look at the history beyond staff and salary costs. What's the gas going to cost this year versus last year, and try to forecast all those numbers, put them in to a budget that you see at the end of the year, which quite frankly is more art than science. A lot of it's a best guess, and would really appreciate if you all would turn in a pledge card. That really helps us avoid a bunch of guesses on the income. I'm going to turn it over to Rev Rock here, and he's going to talk a little bit.
Hi, my responsibility with stewardship is to alert these folks if there's any additional spending coming from any other ministries and working with them on that. Also, if there's any issues with our personnel, talk through that from my perspective as head of staff.
Okay, well, that's what our Stewardship Ministry is busy doing, and we want to thank you for your support and your trust in our mission. Thank you, and God bless.